I think it was D'Angelo who said, "Ain't no justice, just us. Ash to ashes, dust to dust." Remember that? Remember Devil's Pie?
Yeah, man, that's a great album.
Such a great album, such a dope song. Welcome back, people. Once again, it's your boy Shaun Q, my partner, like always.
J. Roman.
Together we are OSP. I'm not even gonna try to do it together because we're zooming.
It's fine. I love how you did it fast though.
Right? We are gonna get right into it because we've missed you guys and we had a dope one. So we're gonna get right into what's popping. Here is what's popping. Us, motherfucker, we are popping. You know what they say, you know you made it when you got some haters. When somebody doesn't like you enough to go out of their way to talk shit to you, that means you made it. We made it, baby. We in the big leagues, baby.
I don't count that.
No. We in the big leagues, baby. We got some haters. So we put out our Stop Killing Us episode, and it was a YouTube exclusive. And the plan was to leave it on YouTube. We're trying to get people to follow and subscribe to our YouTube page. By the way, follow and subscribe to our YouTube page. But in doing so, we got quite a few responses from, how do I say this in a better way than I said?
No. Let me just say it then.
Please,
you want to think of a better way?
Thank you.
All white racists. Like that's all it was. It was responses from all Southern white racist people.
Yep.
Some of them were old. One of them was actually, I wouldn't say old because he looked around my age, but all their comments showed that, you know what, they have that prejudice in them from whenever they got it to now, and they don't even want to start a conversation. They just want to say their opinion. Oh, maybe you shouldn't keep committing crimes type things. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I want to answer one of our followers, one of the OSP fam, a friend of mine, Anthony Gonzalez. He was like, why wouldn't you guys, respond to him and hear him out? Because these aren't even trolls. There's certain people who, not only are you not going to change their opinion, not only are you not going to get your opinion across, there are certain types of people, and these are those types of people who they don't want to hear your opinion. They want to hear their opinion come out of your mouth. And we ain't doing that shit. So that wasn't going to fly. But I can't say I was a little disappointed that none of the OSP fam kind of responded. Like, we were just like, hey, let us know what you think about the episode. We know a lot of people saw it. We know a lot of people had opinions on it. But the only ones who voiced those opinions were those, I believe Dave Chappelle refers to them as dusty white people. Those are the only ones that were responding. But that's fine. A response is a response. We chose to take the high road as per the advice of our producer, Dortria. We took the high road, and we took it as, we appreciate your comment. We will put this to the OSP fam, see what they think. But we are not going to get in a troll war with people who don't want to hear our opinion and don't want to hear outside of their lives. These were older white people. We went and checked their Facebook. None of them knew any black people. Do you have any idea how hard it is to go on somebody's Facebook page, scroll all their friends, and not find one fucking black person? Not one. We did it. 4 people. None of them had black friends. It was insane. So we're like,
had they at least said, you know what, I really want to discuss this because here's how I feel about it, then we could have had a back and forth.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't do it wasn't open. It just, their comments were clearly their thinking that it wasn't going to go away. Granted, at 50, 60 years old, I don't know how much you can change someone's mind at that point, but you can at least try and have a dialogue. I mean, that's the point of being human. That's the point of growing, always being open to the comments. I do like Inconsiderated's response of, they're not worth the time, which he was absolutely right. They're not worth the time responding to because they're just going to respond with more of their troll shit.
Yeah.
The follower that responded that said, they're entitled to their opinion and stuff like that. Of course, everyone's entitled to their opinion because they just have them. They can put them out there. But when the opinion clearly is just about what they want to say and only what they want to see, like people who just watch the news that only caters to their type of thinking, or only have conversations with their type of people, only have conversations with their own kind of people who only think the same way, that's not going to do anything to bring our outside opinion to them, because all they're going to think is, oh, look at this guy. He wants to come in and talk about my opinion at this point, or he wants to talk to me about mine, but he's only going to respond to his own friends. He's not going to respond to us in that way. You know what I mean? It's just, what's the use?
It's like walking into a debate and you go, here's how I feel about everything, and goodbye. And you fucking leave.
Like you dropped the mic or something.
Yeah, what the? You want to hear my opinion? Nope. And then they just leave.
And you know, the funny thing was one of those comments even got 2 likes, and I'm like, okay, so. And then I looked at who the likers were, and I was like, oh, just more racist white people with no people of any color as a friend. You know,
just insane. That was insane. So moving on, the country on this date today is now it's Sunday. It's the 14th.
It is.
The country has slowly reopened. This past weekend, a lot of things. We live in California. A lot of things reopened. There was madness in Fullerton where I'm at. All these bars, which were all these bars and restaurants, who were like, when we reopen, we have guidelines because we've all seen the guidelines. It's got to be 6 feet apart and social distancing. All that shit went out the window. Every bar was packed, wall to wall. People were just out like, oh well, president's not wearing a mask, so I don't give a shit. And they just went out in full force. It was insane. So I don't know what's going to happen with the second wave of the coronavirus.
Oh, you know.
If it comes, it's going to come with the thunder. It's going to come hard. I don't know.
Man, I already know I don't feel good about it. And that's because right now, Orange County, and they just said this yesterday on the news, had its deadliest week since the start. And that's not even a lot. We're only up to, I think, about 217 deaths, whatever it's going to be after today. So it's only been like 8, 10 a day, something like that, which is still, alarming considering we haven't had that many in a week since it started. And LA now has however many, but everything's upticking. And of course it was, and they said this was going to happen. But the point is, the uptick, they're not that they don't care about it. I don't want to say that because I know the officials do, but they've already said we're not going to go backwards now. But there's already other counties in other countries reshutting down their economies because they're like, you know what? It's not working. We tried to slowly reopen. We're getting mad cases. ICUs are going up. Forget it. We got to shut back down. I'm not saying shut all the way back down. There are some things that just have to keep going, like DMV services, stuff like that. You can't let people go driving crazy for 6 months and then just be out of nowhere, just kind of be like, oh yeah, you're due now, Right. But nail salons, movies, and all that, man. Not that I go to a nail salon, but my wife does. I'm not going to the movies anytime soon. I'm not going to sit in a restaurant anytime soon. Call me a freak, call me paranoid, call me whatever. But you know what? COVID out there is still killing. And in fact, last week, day by day by day, the WHO organization announced the single most, and this was day after day after day, single most cases each day since the damn thing started. And that's because South America's getting it. And guess what's going to happen? Fall's coming, man. It's coming. It's coming back. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I want to go see a movie, but I don't know if I'm going to.
Right. Yeah, it's. I don't know what to expect. I expect it to get crazy. Who knows? So speaking of said COVID-19, it was released that George Floyd, who was murdered by the police, who sparked the protest that is affecting the world right now, it was said that he was diagnosed with having COVID-19, and apparently he got it. He was diagnosed with it almost a month before he was killed. Now, there's unfortunately with that, he's gonna be put in that number of cases of people who had the coronavirus that died. That's not the reason for his death, even though I'm sure they're gonna try to use that in court. Like, maybe he would have survived longer if he didn't have COVID-19 or some dumb shit like that. But I thought that was intriguing. I'm not sure if you can see my People Magazine article that I stole from a neighbor. I love it on the cover of People Magazine. It wasn't like Brad Pitt is dating maybe from Arrested Development. They actually had some real shit up there that somebody cares about. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the fact that he did have COVID-19 because it doesn't matter. It's not how he died. It's not why he died. It had no effect on it all. However, he's going to be put in that category of during the coronavirus, also a casualty, and that's shitty. Yeah, we don't have to get deep into that. I don't think we do.
I just don't like the fact that they're going to try and use it in court. Like, oh, maybe that's why he couldn't breathe. Like, get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah,
I can just see it coming.
Speaking of George Floyd, there is always there's so many stupid people out there, dude. There's always somebody. It's one of those like if you have a family reunion, there's always somebody in your family like, oh, here comes this motherfucker. So in the world, our version of that is these people out here doing the George Floyd challenge, which is where there are people, all white from what I've seen, by the way, where they're reenacting the George Floyd death by putting their knee on somebody's neck or having somebody put their knee on their neck, and they're fucking posing for it and calling it the George Floyd challenge.
I did see something like that. I didn't know it was a challenge.
I hope it gets shut down and never turns into a challenge, but that's the way the internet is now. That's the way social media is now. It's monkey see, monkey do. Like, I wonder if hey, do you think if you put your knee on my neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, I would die? Let's find out and record it. That's what the fuck is happening right now.
So stupid. I mean, you know, it goes to show, and we've talked about this before, humanity, especially in our country as a whole, IQs are going down. Oh, stupidity reigns supreme. Survival of the fittest, I don't know if it even applies that much anymore, because it's survival of the dumbest, at least financially, because they get paid to do this dumb shit online. But it's just like, as humans, doing this nonsense will get you killed, but yet you want to try it. And it's not like skydiving, I just want the thrill. No, it's not like that. You are mocking someone's death. You're mocking another human's death. You're not mocking another American's death, you know, but yet you are so gung-ho, patriotic, and all this nonsense. That's not cool, man. It's not cool at all.
Not at all. Some people are just morons. You can't fix stupid. So we live in Orange County, and in LA County, the mayor came out, gave a speech about change and what needs to change. And I feel like I like the open dialogue that's happening around the world, and people saying, you know, something has to change. It sucks that another man had to die for this to happen, but I'm glad that the dialogue is open. And it sucks it took this fucking long, but the dialogue is open. Now in LA, the mayor has started what is called the Department of Civil and Human Rights in LA. And he put a Black woman in charge of it. Her name is Capri Maddox. And what that task force is it's tasked with finding and addressing discrimination that denies equal treatment in private employment, housing, education, or commerce by initiating and investigating complaints of discrimination. That means she is tasked with finding where minorities are being discriminated and then reporting it to him. Now, I'm not sure how much that helps to have a task force where it's basically saying, look, we understand racism exists. We understand it's systemic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this Black lady go tell me all the things that are wrong, go find all the things that are wrong, and then put it on my desk, and then I'll get to it. That's how I feel like it's coming off. I hope there's more of a plan in place. If she says, look at all this shit we came up with, and then they have a plan to start trying to adjust things and fix them, as opposed to him just saying, go tell me what's wrong, and then we'll figure it out later. I don't know how I feel about that one. How you feel about
that is part of the plan. You have to start somewhere. Granted, it's way late for something like this. They should have had this a long time ago.
Right.
But they did this. They're doing this in LA quickly. They've already started doing it in Washington. And I'm not talking about DC, although they started their own thing. But Washington State starting it. Of some places in Texas starting it. All kinds of places are starting something like this, a civil rights task force to find these things, or not even just a task force, because the task force, yeah, you're there to find it, but part of what bringing it to the mayor is because they're supposed to have some idea of how to go about these things, but they have to know what's out there first. So I get that. My thing is, where can I sign up? Because I want to find these things. I want to be in people's face like, yo, right? You're being racist, you're being prejudiced against this, we're going to get you, you know, but that's just me being aggressive.
No, that makes sense. We should get together with Killer Mike. We get some clipboards. We walk up to people's businesses. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Todd? How many Black people do you have employed here? How many minorities?
That's you know, and that is a huge thing because, you know, it kind of goes with the whole thing. Like, it's all so connected. People don't even realize, like, affirmative action way back to now and this and that, and getting people of different, you know, backgrounds in your workplace, and not just different, you know, white backgrounds, or different of all backgrounds, you know, the diversity. And when you force people to do that, in my opinion, it helps that company get better and grow, as long as they still not just get them in the door, but actually have them at the meetings, actually promote them, stuff like that. Because, you know, any company could say, yeah, I hired 15 Black people the other day out of my 15,000 people.
Right.
But where are they? Where are you putting them? Where are they going to be? Do they have the ability to move forward and move up? So you need to start somewhere. So that's the start, at least. And Garcetti, you know, he's a mixed bag. He's a mayor of a huge city. He has to do a lot of different things.
Right.
To get the ball rolling is the most important thing, and then the action. And part of the civil rights task force that they've created is, if action is not happening, they get on his ass and they
Right.
make action start happening. And this is happening, like I said, other states, and Washington, D.C. is rolling something out that, and it's like, why did this take so long? Civil rights movement was back in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, 1800s, up to now. You know what I mean? Like, why is this taking so long? It doesn't make any damn sense to me. And you know why? It's because people in power keep trying to hold others down that people are paying them to hold down. You know what I mean? Trump, I've said this before, our President Trump doesn't care about you unless you have money.
Right.
Racist, bigoted, homophobic, whatever he is, he's all those things. But he especially is those things if you don't have money.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So because you look at who his circle is, only the ones who have money who can actually speak to him about this, because he does all the other stuff that's opposite. Actions speak louder, and his actions speak volumes, son, volumes. I mean, to the ends of the world, you know his actions and what they're speaking. You know, so that's more stuff to get into later in the episode. But you got to start with that, and so bring it to Garcetti's ass or whoever's ass in Congress. When they don't do something about it, there's someone there to call them out and to keep calling them out and can keep calling them out, because the protests now, like we said, they're worldwide. This has already now been deemed the largest civil rights humanitarian movement in history, recorded history. I wouldn't, you know, it's huge. It's mega. So there's all kinds of things to it, and it's going to be a slow movement. Who knows how far it's going to get in our lifetime, but we're going to get there. We're doing something. We're doing something.
Right. Speaking of DC, they have a new street. Have you seen that?
Oh, hell yes, I have.
Speak on it.
So if you don't know, there is now a Black Lives Matter place. New street name. It's called Black Lives Matter Place in Washington, D.C. It is the street that leads up to the White House. And in fact, the mayor had full, I'm going to say army out there painting Black Lives Matter in huge yellow, bold letters on the street leading up to the White House, so that the man in there does not forget it and cannot get away from it. And no one else can, because now it's there. How long that part's going to stay there, I don't know, but the street has now been renamed. I'll take it. At least that little bit.
Have his morning coffee. He's like, yeah, they hate me. I don't give a fuck. What the fuck is that on the street? You have any idea who painted that street? Oh, it's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
It's amazing.
I don't know if you know this about me, Jay Roman. I got a bit of a sweet tooth, and I'm a huge fan of ice cream. I have a new favorite ice cream. Now, mind you, I've liked some of theirs before, even though they're expensive as shit. I'm a fan of Ben & Jerry's ice cream now.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you saw what they put out. They released a statement, and in their statement, and they had a blog. It was titled "Silence is Not an Option."
Okay.
And it entailed a 4-step plan towards anti-racism action in the U.S., which is, mind you, Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company. Cherry Garcia, my nigga, you ever heard of it? They had a phrase in big letters. It said, "Dismantle white supremacy." And I don't think I've ever clapped at an ice cream blog before.
My question is, why were you on an ice cream blog?
I wasn't on an ice cream blog. It was sent to me. Obviously,
Okay.
if Ben & Jerry's is as big a company as they are, especially in the ice cream world, they dominate. You know, it's like Breyers, Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs. They're a big company. So for them to say something like that, it kind of sparked, it got a lot of shares. A lot of people put that out there like, oh, shit.
As it should have.
At the risk of losing clients and customers, they put this out there. And I loved it. I ate, what's the one I had? There was like a salted caramel one that's pretty dope. They put like the caramel in the milk. Doesn't matter. I'm a Ben & Jerry's. That's all that goes in my fridge now, because I'm with you, Ben and Jerry's. All right.
So now you're inspiring me to go get some Ben & Jerry's, because
listen. You know I'm trying to get you in shape. I want you to get in better shape. But the only treat you should be able to have is some Ben & Jerry's, my brother. You understand me? Ben & Jerry's, baby, all right? No more of that Kroger basic ass ice cream. We Ben & Jerry's family.
Well, I like Trader Joe's ice cream, but they're pretty good.
Nah. Fuck Joe.
Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. Ben & Jerry's has my favorite ice cream. It's chocolate brownie fudge, something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's
but they used to have an organic kind. And not that I care that it's organic or not, because I do like to have organic stuff, but it tasted better when it was organic. Now it doesn't. Now it's not as good, the non-organic kind, and they don't make the organic kind, I think. I haven't seen it in a long time. But it's the only ice cream that I've ever had that has brownie pieces in it that aren't rock hard. And so I love it.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. But yeah, you don't
probably chemicals.
Yeah, right. Some non-organic chemicals. It don't matter. I represent Ben and Jerry. Trying to get a sponsor.
You know what? Gotcha.
Dude, I will eat Ben and Jerry's on this podcast like this with the label out. Fucking label out. I know how it works.
label out. You're right.
It's on the game, baby. We are fans. So in other news, when we also mentioned in the last episode, we mentioned, excuse me, Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about her story about how she was executed by the police because of a no-knock warrant, and because of the outcry of the people, the Breonna Taylor law has just been passed.
Yep.
The Louisville Metro Council voted unanimously to ban no-knock warrants to prevent what happened to her from ever happening again. Now, that is one county, which I think is good and incredible, because I feel like, you know what's funny? As somebody like us who's been in the bar and restaurant game for a long time, every time I open a new bar, the question is always, are the employees allowed to drink? And I say to them what I feel like has worked and is just a system every time. At first, most owners are cool with it. You can drink with your customers if you can handle your liquor, so on and so forth. And that goes well until one person fucks it up. All it takes is one person to get too drunk or fuck up the company in some way, and then no, you're not allowed to drink at work anymore. I feel like, I'm sure the idea of a no-knock warrant made sense, because you're like, we don't want to go in and knock on the door and they flush all the drugs, or the guy runs out the back and we got to chase him. That's fine until it doesn't work. Until you kick the door open at 3 o'clock in the morning and innocent people get killed. That's it. You're done. No more. You can't do that shit. Everything works until one fuck up. That was the one fuck up. It cost a human life. That's it. Shut them shits down. I feel like they should be banned everywhere. You got to deal with it. All it took was one person to fuck that up. One group of individuals, part of your own police force, regardless of what state they're in. Sorry, be mad at them. They fucked it up for you. You can't drink at this bar because some guy who worked here years ago fucked it up for all of us. Sorry, rules are rules. So I like.
So my take on a little bit is also, in that instance, when I think about it now, what was the purpose of the no-knock warrant? Do you think that they were going to run somewhere at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever time it was? Like,
when I first heard about the no-knock warrant, I thought Goodfellas.
Okay, I get that, but these are two people that you thought they were doing whatever they were doing. You didn't even have a purpose for their no-knock warrant. They didn't have anything you needed. You know what I mean? So like, it didn't make any sense. The fact that the law passed, the Breonna Taylor law, is amazing, and it passed pretty quickly now that we've, risen up against it, because it's been what, 2 months since she was murdered? 2 months? You know what I mean? And granted, legislation takes some time, but it doesn't need to take that long. Also, someone made the mention that it's the first time they saw her mother smile in a while, when she was holding the plaque that said Breonna Taylor's Law, and it had all the things in it, which, I mean, is nice, right? I'm glad the woman got the smile.
It's not justification, but it's a small victory. There are people who family members all the time, and if you get that small victory of at least her death brought forward some kind of change, then it should put a smile on your face. Yes.
So there's that part. I love it, man. I love it. I think I seriously, like I said the last episode, the impromptu one we did, I got a glimmer of hope. The week before, man, I was not right. I was just like, man, this is all worthless. This is for nothing. And then George Floyd gets killed 2 days later, and it sparked a movement worldwide. And it's like, there are other people still fighting for these things. There are other people trying to still get what we need to get, what we're trying to accomplish, and for a long time, sorry, something's up on my phone. For a long time, it just seemed like we didn't know what was going on. And granted, that's a lot because the media doesn't show a lot of it. Right. Like we said, after George Floyd passed and they had a rally, the leader of the Black Lives Movement there named off, or an attorney or something like that, named off name after name after name in Minneapolis, where this stuff was happening. It's like, I never heard of any of these people. How come there was no coverage? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, so it took one more that was finally in full frontal view, broad daylight to the world, for it to finally come down, when it was already been happening for centuries at this point. You know what I mean? So finally, the glimmer of hope's, it's there, and it's growing. it's tough for me because I try to hold back because I feel like sometimes I'm an aggressive person. You know, people know me. I'm nice, I smile a lot, happy, whatever. But
aggressive.
so my initial take and still some of my feeling is burn it all down. Burn it all down. You know what I mean? I'm putting it on camera and I'm putting it on film, putting it on tape so y'all can see my feelings about it. Burn it all down. You know what I mean? And when it comes to that, I mean stuff like defunding the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defunding the police is not what people think it is. It doesn't mean completely disband police and get rid of every institution and all that that helps. But that's the point. For some it does. For some it means abolish. But I can never remember the damn speaker's name because I listen to so many at this point. She said, when we say defund, we mean abolish. Get rid of it. But when I say abolish, we also mean build something new.
Right.
And that's the point. Burn it all down. Bring it down to ashes. Every building out there, every police station out there, ashes. And then build from the ground up with the people that need to be heard and the people together as one. Build something new that helps. That's for all of us. You know what I mean? And that's the point. Like, it's not just getting rid of all of them, because who's going to catch the people who are out there killing and dealing and raping and slaving people and stuff like that? You can't lose police completely.
No, you know what I mean?
But we don't need them to get a call for someone with a $20 bill to come out with guns ablazing, cuffs and batons and killing people for stuff like that, for loosey cigarettes and crap like that. You don't need guns ablazing for that. You know what I mean? So that's what the whole point is. So the fact that these movements are happening and these places are doing it. Minneapolis is defunding. LA has started. They've taken away millions. And there's one city, New York is talking about taking away $1 billion from the police department. Still not enough, but $1 billion, that's a good start. I'll take it.
I think one of the most fundamental problems as far as law enforcement, because you have to have law enforcement or else it's going to be anarchy. It's going to be like the Wild West. But one of the biggest issues that I've seen in my entire life is when you see situations where you see in like Ferguson, where you see in that part of Minnesota, where it's like, this is a predominantly Black or minority neighborhood, yet the white cops they have don't live there. So the question is, why, if you start from the ground up, that's the best way to do it, and let people not police themselves, but at least somebody who's from the neighborhood, who knows the neighborhood, because then there's not that, here come the police. It's like, all right, we understand what your job is, you understand our job, you're not in a hurry to kill us because you know us.
Yeah.
Let them start from the ground up, let these people from these neighborhoods, and people will be like, well, there's going to be corruption. Worse than there is now?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so.
So
let people police their own neighborhoods.
And you can police themselves. They can police themselves. There's actually a case right now that's in the media right now. Camden, New Jersey, of all places. I didn't even know about this happen. They defunded their police a long time ago. Look it up, everybody. Camden, New Jersey did it right. There's a good example. Granted, small city, small town, small state, but can definitely be replicated in a lot of other areas around the nation. Definitely. Like, check it out. It works.
Let people police themselves, because if it's your neighborhood, you want to take care of it. Two, you know what's happening around your neighborhood. You live there. And you can't just murder somebody in your neighborhood and then go into your house in that neighborhood and sleep at night like a baby. You can't. So let these people police themselves. I've never understood that. I never understood bring the white guy who lives in the suburbs to clock in to come police us. He don't know shit about us. What the fuck is he doing here? Yeah.
You know, and part of that is also police usually live away from where they patrol on purpose because there's violence, right?
Right.
Well, a big part of that is, you know, we've been policing our own communities for a long time, but now it's a call to really do it as a whole, because imagine we know something's going down in our hood. Imagine the hood gets up and we're like, yo, this is not cool. And 200 people walk to this house. Like, yo, you selling drugs out of the house? Not cool, man. Not cool. Imagine that. Imagine the neighborhood doing that. That's what we need. You know, you don't need to call the cops for everything like that. And you know, it's good. I don't need to call them for the cat down the street. You know, the crazy cat that's outside my house. I don't need to call him for nothing like that. So anyway.
For all you people who watched Training Day and had that and think, you know, oh, Denzel's a bad cop, you quoting out that shit. Think about one of the most important parts of that film that the director did is when the hood put him on blast. Is when he was out in the middle of the street and the hood came together. They was in the jungle and they were like, nah, man, you handle your own shit. We're not getting involved in this neighborhood. You are fucking up the neighborhood. That is one of the most important parts of that movie that people overlook. Don't worry about that speech. Think about why he was giving that speech. There was a dirty cop who was making his hood look bad and they wasn't going to stand for it. Let the neighborhood police themselves get some law enforcement that's from there and let them deal with it. If there's a problem, then you bring in somebody from higher up, necessarily outside. I don't know if you have to, but whatever.
Now, with that, so I gotta ask. So what happens if during protests, a bunch of black people showed up with assault rifles?
Now, couple of things.
Like, because one thing I've noticed when we protest, people of color, granted, I'm white as hell. Like, my skin is white. No one can say anything when they see anything when they see me. That's fine. Black people don't show up with an army of guns. White people stockpile these weapons and then they bring them to their rallies. It's such a disparity. I don't like. If you don't see something's off about that, I don't know what you're looking at.
So in Pennsylvania, it was trying to remember when it was. It was what, a couple years ago, or like a year and a half ago?
Whether it's a couple years ago or not, it still also happened in Michigan.
Right. So these white people are protesting, and there were people who were protesting. Actually, this year too, people were protesting the stay-home orders.
Yeah.
And they came out full AR-15s. They had assault rifles, and they protested. And the city and the state allowed them to protest with their assault rifles. No National Guard was called in. Nobody brought out a show of force to say, if you start shooting, we'll start shooting. Rah! No, there was no fucking tear gas. There was no riot squad. There was no tank. None of that shit happened. They're just like, let them protest. America treated these white people like kids throwing tantrums. And they were like, eventually they'll go home and fall asleep. They'll tire themselves out. Let them get their little piece out. All right, now they'll go home. The last time, because it has happened before, black people showed up to protest with assault rifles. The fucking army was called. The Black Panthers did it. And it was the only time, Dave Chappelle said this was the only time the NRA banned or stood up for, well, we don't believe everybody should have guns. The group that says everybody should be allowed to carry a gun was like, not everybody. Maybe not those niggas. That's pretty much how they treated it. So I can tell you what would happen, because when those people were protesting, like I said, there was no show of force from government officials, no police. However, with the peaceful protest, every time people of color try to protest peacefully, there is a show of force by law enforcement. They're like, all right, we'll show up, full riot gear. We got our rubber bullets. We got our tear gas. We got our tanks. If something happens, if one person steps out of line, we'll start fucking shooting. So I can tell you exactly what would happen if a group of people of color showed up to protest with assault rifles. They would be gunned down in the fucking street. They would be murdered on camera in front of everybody for the world to see. Because if you're willing to bring that much for people with no weapons, imagine if they show up the exact same way. I mean, you could get 40 people of color to almost choreograph the exact same way the white people did it, and they would still get murdered in the fucking street. And if you believe otherwise, please fight me on it. Please tell me why they would not. Because if they're doing that for people marching in arms, what would they do if they had guns with their legal right to carry said guns like the white people had? What would they do? We would get murdered in the street, and then all hell would break loose, because then you would see the hypocrisy. It would be flat out just blatant, like, oh, so it's okay when they do it, not when they do it, burn it to the ground. That's what would happen. I've thought about that since.
And that's the way it's been in forever. I mean, they have so many things, so many examples of that. We don't even need to go into all of them. So many examples of others getting treated worse because they weren't white when they do something. It's all over the place. You know what I mean? It drives me bananas. But again, these uprisings, these protests, these riots, these everythings, they're going to make a change. I have to have this hope now that they're going to actually make a change, that when my daughter and your son are in their teens and in their 20s, they won't be dealing with the shit that we were in our teens and 20s and 30s. And now I'm about to be 40, going into our 40s, you know what I mean? Where I have to see, I remember as a teenager, we talked about this, I think on an episode, I saw the police come down on the neighborhood I was in New York and Brooklyn, you know what I mean? And grab people up. And I don't know what they were doing. I just know they got chased. There was 1,000 cops for one guy who was actually about my size now. and he was full grown. So, and then they slapped him up the side of the head while he was already cuffed, hands behind the back, guiding him to the car. You know what I mean? And granted, they did that in front of all of us. The whole neighborhood was watching this in front of all of us, and no one had police camera. No one had cameras. We didn't have camera phones. It's way back, you know. So the fact that we're able to even get something out of this now, like we got to just keep going, keep fighting, keep doing it all. You know, I'm telling you that civil rights organization. I'm looking up how to get a job. I need to get in that.
Right, I'm down. I just recently started rewatching movies for, you know how movies change, which we're gonna do this on an episode later about things that changed post 9/11.
Yeah.
There's certain things you couldn't do. You couldn't mention the Twin Towers. You couldn't. There's certain you couldn't travel the same way.
They took out the Twin Towers from a movie. I remember they took them out.
They CGI'd it out. Like they took out Biggie's line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I feel like post this, there are movies that they can't make. If they make them now, the scenes that they have to either come with a disclaimer or they have to have some kind of point behind it. I'll give you a very basic, simple movie. Like I said, Training Day. And you look at all the dirty shit he did as a cop. Shit like that now, people would be more sensitive to. People like, well, he stuck a pen in his throat to make him throw up. That's police brutality. Oh, it makes sense to you now? Because they've been doing that to us for years. We've been doing it to our own for years. I was watching Shaft the other day, the first Sam Jackson one. Not this new one, I'm sure it's probably trash. But I was watching
That's a classic.
I'm sure I was watching one with him, and when he called down Jeffrey Wright, when he's like, "Peoples, come on down," and he touched me, he's like, "Oh, that's assaulting an officer," and he took him in. What the fuck? Like, you should not be able to do that. We knew that back in the day. We're like, that happens all the time. I want white people and people in power to look at this differently now and be like, oh shit, we've had corrupt cops for years now.
You know, part of that, you know, what's funny is that more videos keep coming out. One thing I love about all this right now is that cops, you're on notice. You're on notice now. Every time you come around, videos are popping off. We're gonna catch you doing everything. I didn't think about this as a kid because I thought it was their right, but apparently that changed at some point. And I don't break the law like that anyway. I made a point when I was younger to do everything possible to not have to be near cops.
Right.
So I don't do anything to get arrested. I don't even steal cable. You know what I mean? Like Nas said. So I did not know that for a lot of places they're just going up asking people for IDs for nonsense. Like, let me see your ID, and you're like, why? Why didn't you see my ID? I did not actually know because, again, I don't deal with this anymore. But I dealt with it when I was young a lot. A lot of cops asked me for my ID walking around. I never realized I can be like, no, you haven't told me what you're asking my ID for. You know, and they're like, this is I'm a cop asking you for ID. You have to show it because that's what we were taught. Cop asks you for ID, you show it. Now I know that's actually not true. It may be in some counties, some states and stuff like that, but I'm so happy that this is changing. And you're saying the stuff in the movies. Did you see that Looney Tunes is taking out like the guns and the Yosemite Sam and what the hell is that idiot who has the rifle? Elmer Fudd, yeah. They're like canceling those cartoons, or they're not putting those guys out. They're taking out their guns from the animations.
Dude, you know what's canceled all the Looney Tunes, which I don't know who's seen the Looney Tunes cartoon. Looney Tunes has been around for 100 years. Just stop showing them. They're old. They're hilarious. Don't get me wrong.
And a lot of people are upset at this. And that's the thing. Looney Tunes themselves, from way back, are racist cartoons.
Oh, God, yeah.
They're just disguised with bunnies and shit.
Yeah, just get rid of Looney Tunes altogether. Let's just, nobody's going to miss them. If you can't.
Pause.
What just happened? Did you just spit over the phone?
Yeah, shit. Uh-oh.
You broke it.
Yep, I broke something here.
Okay.
Yeah, I spit on the phone. I spit on my tablet. The whole setup right here is all wet right now. Let me wipe this down a little bit.
What's the camera guy? Who the fuck is the camera guy?
Oh my gosh.
Tech grip. I don't know if that's what they're fucking called. So it's funny you mentioned your birthday's coming up. Before we take a quick commercial, your birthday is a very important date in American history. Which
I did not know until, of course, my wife put me on. I didn't know it. I'd probably say to my late teens, right. which you know, again, goes back to the teaching we've been taught in this country, because that's part of American history. And I loved American history, but I didn't get good teachers until junior high and high school and then college. So I didn't know a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And then finally I learned about it from my wife, who told me about it. And the fact that our country doesn't teach the real history of us has bothered me since I really started getting into it as a teenager. You know what I mean? And to this day, I want to make sure that anyone I teach history about us, that I teach them the right way. Granted, I didn't become the teacher I thought I was going to be. But my daughter's gonna know these things, and other people I talk to are gonna know these things. And I've expressed this to many people, and they don't believe me until they read it. But still.
Right. And when's your birthday, J. Roman?
Juneteenth.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So huge thing about Juneteenth. If you don't know, marks the end of slavery. Well, I would say in words, it marks the end of slavery.
On paper.
Another thing though. And I gotta say, man, gosh darn it. It's like everything is so political right now. And not political like one side, this side, whatever. But the fact that so many things are in our politics these days, it drives me bananas. This president was going to have a rally on June 19th, my birthday, which I'm not even bringing it up because of my birthday. But on Juneteenth in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a site of one of the worst massacres of black people in our country's history, right? And one time, a whole town burned to the ground because white people didn't like how well they were doing. And he was going to hold a rally as a fuck you to the face of black people in one of the most racist times, or one of the most racist and horrible things that ever happened. He was going to hold that on my birthday. He has now changed it to the next day. Good for you. Good, because at least you listened to enough people that said this was a bad idea. Because he was trying to say, oh, this is because I love the black people. I want to show my thing for them. Yeah? In Tulsa?
Really?
On the 19th of June?
Right.
No.
About you?
You ain't slick, bro. You ain't slick. We know what's going on here. You know what I mean? Like, no. So the fact that he changed it, he should just take it out of June, period. Because it is still Black Music Month, baby. Yeah. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's still Black Music Month.
Black Music, shout out, check out your boy Shaun Q on Spotify, Apple Music, Black artist, check
that's
out.
That's right. Support.
Pumping up, I'm a king. Check out Shaun Q, the bar scene. Yeah, I thought that was funny he was gonna do that. So by the time this comes out, it'll be your birthday. You'll be yeah. Maybe people will want to hear, one day people will want to hear your old school perspective on things.
Now you can really call me old.
Yeah, we are gonna take we'll be back. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes peeled. And we back. We are chopping it up about things that have been happening. If you're listening, you can't see the old man getting down right now. That shit is actually pretty funny. So I guess we can treat it like a news show. In sports, as far as what's happening with the protests and the civil rights movement.
What sports?
Oh.
I know they were tossing beanbags on ESPN recently, but what other sports?
God. There is, well, first of all, apparently the NBA is going to start up the finish of the season in Florida, and so far 22 teams have signed it, which is fine because that's enough.
So in Florida, where they have now had a huge spike in cases. Oh, sure. Sounds like a great plan.
You know who should be there? Fucking patient zero Rudy Gobert himself, that son of a bitch. You French fuck. That is so mean. So yeah, in sports, I'm gonna do it like this because my good friend Jennifer Harris Law, is a huge Saints fan. So I'm gonna ask like this: Who that said that Drew Brees did not understand the movement of black people and how they have been struggled and suffered for years in America? Drew Brees, man. Drew Brees is such the pride of Nolans is such a good guy, but he has summed up Caucasian people's perspective on the civil rights movement in America. Whereas when people asked him, he was in an interview and they asked him, how do you feel about the kneeling? His initial response, his first response, his gut reaction.
Which was when?
When did he ask about the kneeling?
Yeah.
Like last month?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Recently.
No, this is very recent.
Because the thing, the kneeling's been happening for years.
Oh, yeah.
Now, at this point.
Yeah, at this point, he's seeing the protests, he's seeing the people marching. They asked him, and he was like, it's never okay to kneel during the national anthem. And then he did the thing that most people do because they are so misinformed and so confused. When they saw the kneeling, they thought, oh, this is a spit in the face of our veterans who have served this country. This is a slap in the face of people who serve in our military. How dare you take a knee? Not realizing it had nothing to do with that. So he was like, you know, my father, my grandfather, they served in the war. It's never okay to kneel during the national anthem. I don't care what's happening. Enter the voice in sports of the minority, LeBron motherfucking James. And LeBron James, it's funny because when you see LeBron James tweet, LeBron James is super rich. He's very educated. He's a very smart man. He surrounds himself with smart people. But even him does this thing that it bothers me when people do. He got so caught up in responding to Twitter. There's like typos and mispronunciation because he just snapped. He was like, "You don't get it."
You know, a good point is when you get hyped up and you start doing that, is reread it because that'll calm you down to find the typos.
Yeah, I feel like everybody should reread their tweets. It's like if you're about to send a text to your ex and 7 pages in, you're like, and that's why you're a piece of shit. I wish you not. Hold on, let me go back. You know what? I probably should have taken that part about her dead grandma. You know, go back and reread it. Oh my God. But he made a very, very intelligent response for the most part, even though it was mispronounced. Yeah. But he still put out there like, Drew Brees, you don't get it. And you, of all people, surrounded by minorities, should understand, at least talk to some of your teammates before you. I guess they kind of caught him off guard in the interview, but still, he didn't get it. LeBron was like, my in-laws, he's like my father-in-law, grandfather-in-law. I speak to people who have served in the military, and even they have said this has nothing to do with us. The kneeling is not about us.
They know that.
The flag of America does not only represent our military, and I feel like that's the misconception. When you see the flag, you're like, cool, flag, military, that's it. No, it represents us as an entire country, us as a whole. It's not just about the military. So for people who are associated with that, like Drew Brees, you're misinformed. You're confused. So when LeBron put that out, and then even some of Brees' teammates were like, look, Drew, you don't get it. They explained it to him. He then went on to apologize. He was like, I did not know. I can honestly say, and I appreciate that about Drew Brees. He put out there, he was like, you know what? I was misinformed. I was confused, and I was set in a certain way. Drew Brees is one of those people who, whether it's true or not, or if it's a publicity thing and somebody explained it to him, he seems like one of those old dogs who can learn new tricks. It was like, you know what? I'm open for dialogue. I'm open for a conversation. I didn't know this. I didn't know that it didn't just apply to our military. I didn't understand. Thank you for informing me. Here's how I feel now. Enter the leader of the free world. Here comes Donald Trump. Donald Trump said, I feel like Drew Brees shouldn't have apologized. He should have stood by what he said. This is what Donald Trump said when it comes to our flag. Old Glory is to be revered, cherished, and flown high. We should be standing up straight and tall, ideally with a salute or a hand on the heart. There are other things you can protest, but not our great American flag. No kneeling. That came out of the president's mouth. After hearing this older white man, not older than Donald Trump, obviously he's old as shit, but hearing this old white man say, I didn't know that's what the kneeling represented. Now that I know, I feel a certain way. I still don't think it's okay I don't think it's right to kneel as far as the military, but I understand why you're doing it. Donald Trump, he's like, I don't give a fuck, don't kneel. But what if it's for this? I don't give a shit, don't kneel.
Yeah.
And that's such a closed-minded opinion. And there's so many people who agree with him. Who are like, yeah, I don't care what you're trying to protest. I don't care what you're doing it for. I don't care about people dying. Don't kneel. I'm trying to watch my football game.
That's the same guy who's trying to keep the Confederate loser names on the army, on the bases. Dude, those guys lost. Bro, those guys lost. Dude. Like 100 and almost 60 years ago. They lost. Like, they're losers.
You mean the original
and they were
traitors?
racist slave owners.
The original traitors who wanted to secede from America have statues put up and still wave the flag against traitors when they go to American games?
Yeah. Let them disrespect that flag all they want. That's fine. Speaking of that, Here, okay, I'm gonna go back to Breeze a little bit before we get into the next part, because there's a lot in the sports thing that we gotta just kind of mention. We don't need to get it because they can read it on Twitter or whatever. I'm not happy with Breeze. Okay, I appreciate him apologizing, and you know what that shows versus our president is that he's an actual leader. And granted, he's a leader of a football team, but he's also a leader of his family. He might be a leader of his community.
He is,
but a good leader can own a mistake and learn and open the dialogue and say, okay, you know what? My bad. I got this. What I don't give him a pass for is that the kneeling has been years ago when it started. It took you this long to get it right. It took you this long to get the dialogue. It took you this long to have someone tell you, hey, that's not what we're kneeling for. Maybe he didn't open up his mouth because he was never asked before as to how he felt about it. So I get that. His opinion was never out there, so it never got challenged. But then it did, and I appreciate the leadership of him coming out and saying, my bad. I'll take that. But I don't give you a pass on the last 3 or 4 years, bro. I don't think so. So Trump's never going to get a pass because he'll never own a mistake. He never will. So that's fine.
He's perfect.
I know. What are we talking about? Besides that, though, speaking of Confederacy and losers, what about the loser that quit NASCAR because they will not allow Confederate flags at NASCAR races anymore? I'm sorry. Who are you? Nobody knows who you are. I'm not even going to mention your name, except the fact that your name is Italian. And if I'm correct, Italians are immigrants from way back. You may have been born and raised here, but you got an Italian name, son. So
I think he has the losingest record in NASCAR history.
Well, here, regardless of losingest, he has 0 wins. The funniest thing I saw of the whole thing is NASCAR got real petty, and they said, we had to look you up. They themselves responded on Twitter and said, we had to look up who you were. Have a good life.
If you work for a company and you represent this company and you're like, I'm done with this company, and the company responds with, who the hell are you? Who the fuck is this dude? Who?
So I love it. So they can look it up. Look up the NASCAR guy who's leaving because of the flag. They won't represent this and that. I can't even express to my people or to people enough, like when you believe in something like your Confederate flag, you're believing in losers. You're believing in traitors. You're believing in a way of life that is way too old for you to even fathom. And what are you even talking about? Your great relative being a total asshole? You want to continue that? By all means. What I say, survival of the fittest. You ain't going to survive past the next few years with that nonsense. You know?
To stay in sports, Jake.
We stay in the sports a while here.
Yeah, Jake Fromm from State Farm. So the Bills quarterback, Jake Fromm, I think is a rookie. He did something that has been bothering me for so long. So many people do it. It pisses me off. So apparently in 2019, he was having a conversation with a friend of his. And then in this conversation, he said, I'm going to quote it, because they were talking about buying guns. And at first he was like, no guns are good. And then he said, they need to let me get suppressors. Just make them very expensive so only elite white people can get them. In my mind, he did the elite white guy laugh. The fucking shoulder laugh. He did that shit, which is fine. I guess if you have a conversation with your friend or your brother, whatever the fuck, you guys are texting each other. People say racist shit all the time. But he tweeted it, which means he chose to put out into the universe. That's what the fuck you do, people.
I'm going to go back on that, though. That's not fine. Because this white racist-ass friend should stop being racist and call his ass out. Anyway.
He should. It's not fine. But I'll be honest with you, and if you say you haven't, if you listen to us, we've all said some racist shit before. And
never.
Whether we felt bad about it, never. Not one time ever. Strong disagree. Whether we went back and apologized for it or we knew it wasn't right, it's happened. But the minute you put it out there in the world and you are in any kind of position to where people are going to be judging you, say, for example, you're a quarterback of a fucking national football team, maybe you should rethink putting that shit out there, because he knew it was wrong to say some dumb shit like that. He put it out there into the universe, and then like everybody else who has done this, who has been dumb enough to tweet, to put on their Facebook, to put on social media, hey, I said some dumb shit back in 2015. Guess what? It always comes back to bite you in the ass. Even if you try to delete that shit, somebody's going to screenshot that shit, and now you look like the dummy that you are.
Oh yeah, you can't do anything like that. It gets screenshot like that.
dude, you are putting shit on social media. It will get recorded. Somebody's going to put this. How many things have to happen before people realize if you put it out there, somebody will bring it up later. So whatever you're about to put out there, you better stand by that shit and you better mean that shit because it's coming back to bite you in the ass. That's what's happening to Jake. So now all Jake's fucking teammates who he's barely met because he's a rookie are like, oh, so you consider yourself to be an elite white boy, huh? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna sack your elite ass and talk a little shit to you when I get down there. It's gonna happen. It's just I can't stress the fucking words that I say at the end of every episode. Be smart. That's not smart. Don't if you say some dumb shit. If I text you some dumb shit, why in the fuck would I put that on our social media? Like I'm not. What is wrong with people? It's common sense. It's gonna come back to bite you.
So my thing is, one, I wish I was a giant football player that could sack the hell out of them. I would break them. I'd break them. I would get all the penalties and I would smash them to the ground as hard as I could. I wouldn't even care. Get me out of the league. I made my money. I'm out.
Life comes
as long as I could do that.
Life comes back to poor.
So part of the real problem, it's not just that he's an elite white person as he's putting himself in that class, is that he is a young elite white person. He is what, half our age?
Yeah. And
he's still thinking like that. That's part of the problem. He's that young saying nonsense like that. You know what I mean? And part of the best thing about this movement is we have young people involved in this movement with old people. Like I was telling you that audio or the video I saw where it was a 16-year-old, a 40-something-year-old, and then there was 60-year-olds in the back, and they're all talking the same thing. It's like he's part of the wrong conversation that young. You know what I mean? He shouldn't even be. How do you even get that mindset? Where are your parents? What were your parents doing? What were your people doing? Right. You know what I mean? Your friends should have slapped you up, whether it was on Twitter or in person. They should have slapped you up. But you know what? Is that same issue of a lot of people, young and old, only dealing with their own.
Right.
Whether it's their own kind racially or thinking, they only think with their own. They only talk with their own. So what else can we expect? Hopefully, he is still so young that he's learning. Right. And he's going to get that better. So I just hope, I also hope, though, they put his ass in the ground this season.
Somebody's going to hit him. Somebody's going to hit him and be like, well, this is called a life lesson, buddy. You just
welcome to the NFL,
right? Surrounded by minorities who are not fans of your way of thinking. So
yeah,
that shit might hurt, son. If we're staying in sports, which we are. I'm not sure if you noticed my dope ass T-shirt in the back. That would be an NBA Jam, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen T-shirt.
I know where you got that too. I saw the ads. I was like, you know what? That's pretty dope. I'll get the other one.
I wanted the Sonic one, man, with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Ooh, it was some bad motherfuckers on that game. What sucks about the game is it came out a year after Jordan left, so Jordan wasn't there. So I remember when it came out, everybody went to Chicago and was like, Pippen and Horace Grant? What the? I still fuck with it. One could rebound, the other Pippen was a monster. And I bring that up because, everybody's watched The Last Dance. Everybody has been watching the documentary. And though I do not like documentaries, I've gone on record as saying that. I'm not a fan. For example, I started the Bruce Lee documentary, Be Water, and I am a huge Bruce Lee fan. Have been for pretty much my entire life. The only thing I learned from that documentary that I did not know already was that Bruce Lee had been acting his whole life. I didn't know that.
Well, see, then that's just something you didn't need to do. Like why I'll never watch the Big Ear Pac movies. I know enough that I don't need to see that. I don't even need to see documentaries at this point.
I couldn't even finish. I was like 45 minutes into it, and I had to get to work. I couldn't do it. So I don't like documentaries. But I watched every episode of The Last Dance. And when I watched it, I had this rush of nostalgia because for their first 3 championships, like I lived in Chicago half my life. For their first 3 championships, I was in Chicago. For the next 3, I was out here, which kind of sucked when you got a bunch of people in your face in California. Fuck your Bulls. But whatever, it is what it is. I was watching the show and it's putting me in place like, oh, that's right. I was in this neighborhood when that happened. I remember I was in this neighborhood. And I'm going to be honest with you. The producers at ESPN and Netflix gave me a call, was like, yo, man, we're doing this thing where we're asking people if they remember where they were when this happened. But I couldn't show up. I was busy that day. I was busy. I had some shit going on. So instead they put Common in there talking about he was a ball boy. Whatever, nigga. So it was a dope documentary. I loved it. It gave me nostalgia. It was good to see because outside of like being an owner and the few rare occasions, Michael Jordan did what he said he was going to do. Like, he walked away and was like, you're probably never going to see me again. He was Kaiser Sose. And to see him in his pimp ass beach house with his long ass cigars, some of them which I'm sure had weed in them, his glass of whatever he was drinking, just chilling and reliving this stuff. It was awesome to see. It was awesome to see yellow-eyed Michael Jordan, which I still don't get.
He was like yellow and red. That was driving me bananas.
Always had yellow eyes. Like it's like you see him in the documentary, like from '95 or whatever. He always got yellow. It's just his eyes, and apparently money can't fix that. So it was just cool to see them relive this, to see all the old players tell their stories and the rivalries. You see Magic. You see how money has helped some of them age. And how not having a lot of money has hurt some of their aging.
I don't know about that. People just age differently.
Some people age, yeah, but money has a lot to do with it. Like, I'll give you an example. I don't understand how Bill Cartwright looks younger now than he did when he was
Yo, right? I saw him, I was like, yo, he looks amazing.
He looks like he played a couple years ago. When Bill Cartwright was playing, Bill Cartwright looked like my grandfather when he was playing. Like, why is this old-ass dude running up and down the court? Like, he was just grayed out. And I remember them. I was like, man, he's slowing us down. He's slowing us down, this old-ass dude. But it was good to see it. Horace Grant, got huge. He's a big boy. It's always been a big boy. He's like
6'10", something like that, right?
Yeah. I was confused the most. You know what confused me the most? Is the inner line of Scottie Pippen. I see Scottie Pippen on the jump all the time. This dude has gray hair only on his line.
Nice.
Everything else black as shit. His line is just great. I'm like, did he not want to touch that part of his forehead? If you go back and watch it, look at Scottie Pippen's line.
I'm going to take a closer look.
Dude, it bothered me the whole time. But I loved it, man. I loved everything about it. And like I said, I hate documentaries. This was a 10-parter too. But because it was something that it was nostalgic to me, and it's a great story of a great a dynasty. It was a great dynasty story. And I am one of those people who believe that we will never see another dynasty again, because the way basketball is, I don't think we'll ever see another three-peat again. Contracts are shorter. Teams are built differently. People are signing 1-year and 2-year contracts. How do you build a dynasty if you're going off that? And then once some talent is shown, people go, players go make their money. I don't think we'll ever see another dynasty again. The Warriors are probably, in my opinion, the last one that we're going to see.
Yeah, because they want to stick together. That's why.
Right.
I feel like
even with that, injuries kicked in, so they couldn't even get a third.
True.
So I don't see anybody getting 3 championships in a row again. So it was just good to see the story of that dynasty and the questions of what if he didn't go play baseball, and what if they had played a 7th? Like, who knows what would have happened.
The point with that is, I've said, I don't know if I ever said on the podcast, I believed that they would have won 8 straight, right? But the documentary actually changed my opinion a little bit on it, because after that 3rd one, Jordan himself had such a rough time with life. Granted, of course, his dad died, so that was like the catalyst to make him go to baseball.
Right.
But he was talking about he was already going to retire. So he had that in his brain. Then his dad dies. He had the gambling stuff coming up. He had it kind of rough at that point. As rough as you can, say a megastar has it. But your dad dying is the worst, especially in that awful way, man. Like, just horrible. I don't know if they would have won that 4th one in a row. I think they could have done it because Jordan is that guy.
Yeah.
But that gave me some doubt. But it didn't make me doubt the other 3. Cool thing about it is I didn't know the last season was so caught up in so many things, because I hated the Bulls, man. So I didn't pay attention to how they were unfolding or falling down, because I was like, yes, get them out. But, I have a new respect, or no, more respect now for Pippen and Jordan and all those guys. I already respected them a lot. I still say I hate Jordan, but I always recognize him as the best ever. But, this made me, it was even more solidifying to see that he was that crazy, wild, I'm going to win at all costs animal from the get-go. And I don't think we'll ever see that again. Closest right now I can see to it is maybe Tinto Kempo. He's the only one out there saying, I'm not playing with those guys. I'm not practicing with them. I'm going to go kill them. I'm going to go eat them. I'm going to go, destroy them. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the mentality. That's the closest thing I can get to that. And so I'm waiting to see him do it. But the documentary was fantastic. And, it brought up the fact that Jordan never spoke out about stuff. It only mentioned that a little bit.
It did. It spoke about him, with the guy who was running for Senate
and the
how
shoes.
Jordan, and Jordan didn't want to speak out because he's like, I don't want to vouch for a guy that I don't know, that I've never met. And they took it as, when I want to say outside of Michael Jackson at that time in the 90s, Michael Jordan was the biggest star in the world. And they showed that when they showed like what happens from the minute he leaves his hotel room to when he gets back, it's madness, wall to wall madness, cameras,
exhausting
people. Yeah, it is overwhelming. And he was like, I want 5 minutes alone. And I can't have that because y'all are in here recording. Like, I just want to sit here and watch TV. Get the fuck out of my face. But on that note, after this documentary, now we know that Jordan is alive and well and kicking and rich and still has something to say.
Well, he's still part owner of the Hornets.
Right.
Oh, wait, are they the Hornets?
Actually, it's the Hornets now. They were the Bobcats. He got the Hornets back. So, What has he done recently? We posted something on our IG page the other day.
Well, he finally spoke out. He finally said, this is what's going to happen. We're tired of this. That's a summary of what he said with the George Floyd protest. And I don't know how many people were blown away. Like, wow, this guy who we admired growing up, as an adult, and granted he's significantly older than we are. I wouldn't say significantly, but quite a bit older than we are. He actually said something about it. You know what I mean? And it's not that I wouldn't have expected him to. I expect he feels something about it. But the fact that he is still the #1 selling shoe brand in the world, huge brand, and he finally said something about it. And it wasn't just like, oh, Republicans buy shoes too, which is what he said before. He actually said something about the killing of George Floyd, and he mentioned that we're tired of it. So it shows you that he has been feeling these things as they come up, and it makes you wonder what he's going to do about it now. I mean, granted, he could have already been pumping millions and billions into these organizations, and we don't know, and that's fine. But is he going to use his voice more now? I don't know. It'd be nice to see, but who knows?
He can't be oblivious to it because it's a big thing that's happening. It's not like one guy running for Senate. This is affecting the world, and including the world that he lives in. As rich as he is, doesn't matter. He's still a person of color. This is what he said that they said he's doing. He's donating $100 million over the next decade to organizations dedicated to race equality after he joined the George Floyd protesters in demanding an end to police brutality. And that is a big deal. Now, some people will look at that and be like, $100 million is a lot. Others will be like, over 10 years, it's only $10 million. That's still a lot of money dedicated to a certain cause. Not a random charity where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's not like one of those charities that don't help people in urban communities, that only help rich people. It's an actual cause that he's said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, which we all know now Jordan's rich as shit. So you want to see somebody that rich put their money where their mouth is. Not just come on by, hey, here's a video of me saying that's not right. No, here's me investing in that. Here's me putting money into that. And I like that. I appreciate that about him.
If you watch the documentary, this guy was a beast. I mean, his thing was you only go hard, and that's it. We saw that with Kobe afterward, and now I don't know who else is out there like that.
No, what's funny is I see it in LeBron. LeBron does this thing, and it's not the same. It's not the Mamba mentality, and it's not the Jordan mentality, because Jordan wanted to go out and kill every game. But LeBron, I can say, goes out every game with the intention to win, and he is one of those players like Jordan and like Kobe where he's like, I don't want people to pay money to come see me, and I don't give them 100%. And I appreciate that about LeBron James. He'll come out and he's like, yeah, I shot 40 shots, I only made 15 of them, but I still gave my everything. I hustled back on defense. I'm yelling at my team. Like, I don't want people to pay money to come see me, not give my everything. And for that, I respect him. Giannis does the same thing. Giannis Antetokounmpo is an old school player, and we say old school in his mentality and the way he treats other players. He has that Jordan thing, like, all right, yeah, we may talk or whatever off the court, but why am I going to go practice with you? I'm trying to kill you. I'm trying to destroy you. Don't. If I shake your hand, it's out of respect. But after that, I'm getting the fuck out here to practice on how to beat you next time. I like that. But it's the same thing, that same mentality. Every time you come see me, I'm giving you 100%. And I respect that. I appreciate the shit out of that.
So we got to close this up. Let's get into a little bit of what you want to say about Black Music Month and the new Run the Jewels album. I see you got a little something on that, and we have to highlight the fact that it's Black Music Month and bring up one of the one of the best groups to come out in the last, how long has it been now? 10 years?
Separately, they've been out for multiple years.
Separately, LP's been out since the early 90s, so
Yeah,
I get that.
Mike
But
was out with Outkast a long time ago.
way back, yeah.
So,
we're talking people who have been in hip hop for 30, 40 years.
Yeah. So Run the Jewels just put out Run the Jewels 4, and it is a perfect album for what is happening in our society right now. Now, they've always been an outspoken group, and LP is, I mean, the shit that he produces. And my boy Pat showed me a video the other day when they were doing a Tiny Desk concert, and Killer Mike was forgetting the lyrics, and LP is like helping him because he's the producer. He's on that shit. He knows.
Yeah.
And this is where we go from here. Like, okay. Cool.
That would be me. That would be me. Yeah. I can't remember lyrics.
That would be like, I got you. And now we go. He's like, okay, that's what we want. I fucking love it. The album is so dope, and it's just, if you haven't heard it, go listen to any Run the Jewels album. Their style is it's such a hard, good, old school. Like, because we give our old school perspective. In my opinion, they're the best old school group out right now. Who they're actually talking about something. They talk about shit that could possibly get them in trouble. They talk about shit that matters, and they do it with a form that is fading. There's no mumbling in their shit. You know what they're saying. They say it with the meaning, and the people they have on there, they hold to that same standard. You hear a good verse from 2 Chainz. Like they got DJ Premier on a couple of them. You're like, that's what I'm talking. It's a good old school, dope ass hip hop album. Check it out. Run the Jewels 4. I'm a fan. So support Black Music Month. Once again, the Shaun Q album is out. It's called The Bar Scene. It is I Am a King.
Yo. Don't be shy about it, son. All right. The Bar Scene is out there. All right. Yeah. It's fun to listen to. It's a nice summer vibe. And the I Am a King song, has I've been bumping that since you put it out. My daughter knows when that song comes on. Oh, that's Theo Shaun. She knows what's up.
That's dope.
Don't be shy about it.
I'm not. All right. So let's get into our what the shit moment. Before we get into what the shit, we have to mention what's basically been the first concert since the shutdown due to COVID-19.
True. The first live, in person, outside, where they weren't in their cars type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it was National Treasure, the comedian who's in my top 3, maybe even top 2, Dave Chappelle, did a stand-up this month, and it was in his hometown. It was in Ohio, and it was incredible. It's only, you can look it up on YouTube. It's called 846, and the numbers, it plays such a huge part in that. He explains the numbers with 8 and 24 with Kobe Bryant, the numbers with 846, and if there is a comedian that needed to come out and say something, or who should have been the first one to do a big show, it had to be, in my opinion, Dave Chappelle. The rawest comedian out there, the smartest comedian doing it right now. And we're not gonna get too deep into it. Go check it out. We'll probably follow up in the next one, but it's very important. I feel like everybody should watch it. It needed to be done, and I'm sure it was weird to do a stand-up show for people with masks on because you couldn't tell if they were smiling.
And they were very far from each other.
Yeah, they were distant, and they had masks on. So it was just him, his cigarette, and his drink, and he fucking killed it. Check that out.
It was and the whole thing's on YouTube. The whole show. It was, I gotta say, it was very eye-opening. There was stats and stuff that he put in there that I did not even connect before because I remember hearing about him. But it's so dope. It's so good. Whether you think it's funny or not, he's always going to be funny, and there's funny parts, but it's really insightful, hugely insightful.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And big ups to Dave Chappelle. And if you're wondering where he was through all this, he explains why he didn't say anything early on, and it makes a lot of sense because I feel the same way exactly what he said. Let's do this.
Okay, let's get into our what the shit moment. Now, we were talking about sports. We've been talking about the civil rights movement, and we were talking about kneeling. First thing, and I said this on the last one, I was going to wait because it's so good to hold. If you remember, the first person to take a knee during all of this was Colin Kaepernick when he played for, who did he play for? I believe it was the San Francisco 49ers.
The Niners.
Yeah, he played for the 49ers. So when we had Blackout Tuesday, when we were doing a blackout for social media, and it was basically to say the only thing that we want posted on social media is things that make people aware of what's happening with civil rights in our country. That's the only thing we want posted. If you're not posting that, then black it out. Is that not what Blackout Tuesday was for? The only thing
posted? No. Yeah. But I thought This is not what the Niners were saying, right?
Oh, no.
You were just saying what the point of it was. Yes.
Yeah, no. This is what was the point, because people were asking, well, I don't understand why Blackout Tuesday. Why is it all black? Because
I was just getting skeptical on the 49ers because I know we were about to go with this.
Yeah, no. The only thing we wanted people to see was we wanted people to be made aware of what's happening in the country. And if it was that, it was blacking out everything else. We don't care about what you're promoting. We don't care about seeing you in a bikini on a fucking boat. We don't care about your workout videos. Post some shit to promote awareness. One of the Twitter pages that decided to do this was that of the San Francisco 49ers. The same team who fucking blackballed Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee when all of this fucking started. That same team was like, hey, hashtag Blackout Tuesday. They were the group in the back who was like, hey, yeah, we're in. No, go fuck yourself. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That then led to Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, said the NFL was wrong not to encourage players to protest peacefully. The most hindsight is 2020 statement made in the last, I want to say 10 years, in in sports, in politics, whatever. That is the most. He basically came out and said, all right, so looking back, maybe we fucked up with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. And our producer, Veltria, who has an incredible obsession with writer, reporter, podcaster Jamel Hill, saw her tweet. What was Jamel Hill's tweet about Roger Goodell in the NFL? About that statement?
You've got to be fucking kidding me. So here's the thing. Jamel Hill called out the president. Him and her co-host called out the president for calling the NFL players sons of bitches for kneeling.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL tried to do stuff about it. Other owners tried to do something about it. They got called to be fired. Even Trump said they should be fired. ESPN was slick and was like, no, we're not going to do it yet. But then canceled the show to be finished in like 2 months. A great show, by the way, that I actually hope never comes back, because I don't want them to go back to ESPN, because ESPN can kiss their ass at this point. Jamel is doing her thing, and I like what she's doing. So she put that out as like, now it took all of this, and Kaepernick still don't have a job.
Nope.
Still don't have a job.
Nope. Still don't have a job. That's what the shit, NFL. Like, are you fucking, man, that's some hindsight shit. Doesn't matter. We're not going to dwell on it. We are going to get up out of here. We appreciate you all. Please check out the YouTube page. All you have to do is go to YouTube. Type in OSP, Old School Perspective. Just like that. Just the way I said it. Watch. I'm going to say it again. Type in OSP, Old School Perspective. All of our shit will pop up. Check out the videos. Subscribe, follow, tell all your friends. We're still growing, and we appreciate this. We like this. Maybe the next time we'll be recording in person. We'll be socially distanced. We'll put like a trapper keeper between us. Whatever has to be done for us to get the message out to the people. Are we good to head out, Jay Roman?
I think so.
If we're good, cool. Till next time, I'm Shaun Q. Be smart.
Jay Roman, we out.
Peace. Keep it old school.